The rain came down hard the night Jack found her standing under a flickering streetlight. She was soaked, hair plastered to her face, eyes wide with a kind of raw fear. When he stopped, his voice was low and steady. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said. She answered sharply at first, pride and exhaustion lacing her words. But when he offered a couch and a warm shower, something in her gave. She needed a place to be safe until morning, and he needed to do the right thing. Jack lived modestly, a small duplex, a kitchen that showed the soft chaos of a child's life, board books, a tiny backpack. He kept a locked drawer for his keys and wallet out of habit, then handed the stranger a towel, a sweatshirt and a mug of warm water. He left a short note by the cup with instructions and the landline number. He did not ask her name. He didn't have to. He only wanted whoever slept on his couch that night to be warm. She took the blanket and, for the first time in days, felt something like safety. In the morning, the sound that woke her was not traffic or the city, but a small, bright laugh. A little girl sat cross-legged on the carpet, building blocks, curls bouncing with every giggle. "Good morning," the stranger said. "Hi, you're the princess that slept on our couch." The child replied solemnly, introducing herself as Lily. Her innocence cracked something open inside the woman. She smiled, a real smile, because the house smelled of breakfast and laundry and the kind of ordinary mess that felt like home. Jack cooked with easy, imperfect confidence. He burned toast and whispered that was part of the charm. The stranger, Emma, tried her hand at scrambling eggs, dropping and spilling, then laughed when she and Lily cleaned up the mess together. Jack ate her lopsided breakfast without complaint. It wasn't a grand gesture, it was an act of acceptance, and it mattered more than any check. When Emma told him haltingly that she'd been robbed and had nowhere to go, Jack didn't pry. He offered to lead the laundromat down the block, where the owner owed him a favor if she wanted work while she sorted the paperwork and phone calls she couldn't yet make. He'd walk her there. Emma started folding towels and pockets of other people's lives. It was grueling and small and honest work, hands in hot water, aching back, a few customers who snapped. She thought about walking away more than once, but Jack's steady presence made leaving feel less like survival and more like choice. He left a pair of clean sneakers by the door one morning. No note, just a neat gesture that said he saw her pain and wanted to ease it. She slipped them on, and for the first time in a long while, her feet didn't ache for lack of rest alone. They worked late one night on a large hotel order, fluorescent lights humming overhead as the two of them folded table after table, then loaded the truck for deliveries through quiet streets. The silence between them was comfortable, not forced. At a drop-off, a dog barreled from a yard and Emma stumbled, twisting her ankle on the curb. Jack didn't hesitate. He ran, scooped her up, set her in the truck, and scolded her afterward with a rough tenderness she'd never heard before. No one had ever yelled at her for the right reasons. Out of fear, out of care. So when he did, her tears came in surprise. One afternoon at the laundromat, a delicate gold chain tumbled from the pile, a sapphire pendant glinting like a small blue flame. Emma froze. Jack's gaze settled on it, the way someone does when a secret suddenly becomes visible. She said she had forgotten it was in her bag. He was blunt, hurt threaded through his words, because lying by omission still cuts. She didn't argue, she confessed, then tried to explain a life where every move had been observed and orchestrated, where what she wanted mattered less than what was expected of her. He had never lived that life, but he answered with an honesty that made his kind of dignity clear. Before they could say much more, a man with a phone appeared in the doorway and snapped a photo. "There she is," he muttered, claiming the city's appetite for headlines. The world she had fled from was close and loud. Jack pulled Emma toward the back exit and drove without stopping until they found Lily safe with Mrs. Ramirez next door. They sat in the truck, the city passing by like a threat, and Jack admitted he had been shoved trying to block the camera. "As long as you and Lily are safe," he said, rubbing a bruise on his arm, "I can handle the rest." Then Winston Harrington arrived, the man with the heavy presence, the impeccable clothes, and the kind of authority money can buy. He wanted his daughter to come home. He wanted to reclaim what he saw as his. Emma's decision mattered more to her than the threats. She had walked away from that gilded life for a reason. It bought comfort, but not voice, security, but not freedom. In the face of her father's disdain for Jack's modest life, Emma found a new courage. For a moment, she wavered, pulled by the invisible weight of expectation. In the end, she chose to go, with her father at first, but not because she'd capitulated. She told Jack she would come back if she could. The car drove off, and Jack watched the taillights fade, with his hands clenched at his sides. The house settled into quiet afterward, a hollowness Jack couldn't sweep away. He kept showing up for Lily, with lunches, bus stops, bedtime stories, but the small brightness in his life dulled. Lily, sensing the change, stopped humming and began sleeping with the light on. Within days, she spiked a fever that wouldn't break. Jack, with little money to his name, was forced to bargain at the hospital for admission as monitors beeped and nurses circled. A deposit was required, $6,000, a sum Jack did not have. He offered what he could and tried to convince them to let her stay. Then Emma walked in. She moved quietly through the corridor, hair damp from the rain, card outstretched. "Put everything under my name," she told the receptionist. "Tests, meds, room fees." When the nurse asked if she had a relationship to the patient, she simply looked at Jack and said yes. He sat frozen as they wheeled Lily into a monitored room. Emma had come back, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. "You didn't have to do that," Jack said later, voice hollow with leftover pride and stubbornness. "I know," she answered, "but I did." There were other meetings to have. In his penthouse, Winston tried to make reason of what he called denial. He argued that real life is harsh and love does not pay bills. Emma answered with steadiness that surprised him. She had everything once, and none of the things that matter. She told him she was choosing a life where she could be herself, and that meant Jack. Winston listened, and in a rare moment, admitted the truth he'd been missing. The man she loved had something he couldn't buy. Emma walked back into the rain, not as someone running away, but as someone choosing to walk toward what she wanted. She knocked one morning while Jack flipped pancakes shaped like dinosaurs for Lily. He opened the door to find her standing there with a brown paper bag and a small, wary smile. "For Lily," she said, offering blueberry muffins. "I'm here to stay, if you'll have me." Jack's world, small and steady, felt suddenly big enough. "We're not rich," he warned, voice rough. She said she had had riches and palaces and still preferred the warmth of a simple kitchen and a family that chose her back. Lily, waking up, asked the all-important question, "Are you staying forever?" Emma looked at Jack and, through tears, nodded. Forever sounds good. A month later, their life had changed, but only in the ways that mattered. Jack's old truck became a weekend food stand selling breakfast burritos and muffins. Lily handed out napkins with pride. They didn't make a fortune, but they made enough and, more importantly, they had each other. Emma traded a life of watch steps and curated choices for burnt toast, block towers, and honest, messy love. Jack brought steady work and humility. Together, they built a household defined not by money, but by kindness, truth, and the courage to choose one another. In the end, the richest thing they found wasn't a bank balance or a name on a door. It was the kind of home that shows up in small acts. A warm mug at night, a pair of shoes left by the door, someone who eats your bad cooking and smiles. That's what held them. Simple, stubborn, human love.